What's up, everybody? Jimmy Faluca, Frank, and Mike are back with our final segment. Fellas, you having fun?
Yes. That's good. We're ready to rock and roll.
Absolutely. Something that Mike said to me earlier on, and it had the blood pumping through the heart, like Hacksaw would say. I love all wrestling. From today, yesterday, and the day before that, all the eras, because I love wrestling. And Mike, you said that earlier today on the phone, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, my friend. I think Frank shares that sentiment.
It doesn't make a difference to me what reality era, people want to call it. Doesn't make a difference.
If it's wrestling, I love it. I got you.
I watch TNA, and that's horrible.
You should have heard Frank. You should have heard Frank during our last segment. He was talking about TNA, and I was sitting here laughing my fat ass off.
At the end of the day, I'm 28 years old. I've never stepped foot in Austin Wing. It's like a dream to me to even watch it on TV. I can watch it. I love it. So I'll watch it at any point. It's going to get something.
Dude, it brings a warmth to my heart to hear that because it makes me feel good to know I'm not alone because I'm the same way. I can watch it every day and I don't get tired of it.
With all the stress and anxiety and stuff
it washes away when you watch wrestling.
You work like an adult, you know what I'm saying? A couple of hours a night or whatever it is, it's good time for the 10 years.
I agree with you. Now, we're going to continue. We're going to continue our last segment talking about the Macho Man Randy Savage. Mike, you're the most previewing guy when it comes to the Macho Man. You take it away. How was he polarizing to you where he could be both a villain and a hero all at the same time? Talk about him.
Just the intensity of him. Just how do you not... Your eyes just grab me around as a kid. My eyes just gravitate to the color, the promos, the way he handled this. The overprotective, crazy boyfriend, in a way. You know, that's like a good thing. You're just saying, like, his personality, he's just captivating, I guess.
How about you, Frank? What do you have to say? What about you, Frank? What do you have to say about Macho Man?
No doubt. In the beginning, he was the ultimate hero. I mean, you got a guy who would cheat, use brass knuckles, and then when the hero went after him, what would he do? He would go outside and he would put his woman in front of him, shield himself with a frail woman, and that's so cowardly. But just him going into the ring and having Liz open the ropes to him.
That was actually very strategic. That was very strategic to get him heat.
You know, it was perfect. Yeah, and you remember how he would talk down to Miss Elizabeth and scare her, and he almost be kind of abusive, you know. I don't think you could do that today on TV.
No, they wouldn't have the guts for that.
but slowly,
he warmed up more.
And I think it was all because of relationship and the dynamic he had with Miss Elizabeth. Well, their story. All he had to do was start treating Miss Elizabeth nice, and all he had to do was
look around to the crowd. Look around to the crowd, and that would make them go wild.
Look around to the crowd, and then just hold the ring ropes open for Miss Elizabeth, and that's it. He became the face. Well, think about what they were talking about WrestleMania 7. The retirement match of the Warrior.
Oh, that was one of the Warriors. I think that was the Warriors' greatest match.
Macho Man went in as a heel.
And he went out and he left as a losing hero.
Is that when Sherry was kicking him? Yeah, and then Liz came into the ring with the,
that was such a magical friggin' moment for me.
Oh, it was great. I was legitimately in tears. I was a kid.
I loved it. I have no shame in saying I loved it. The Macho Man...
5 years old, 6 years old, I was crying.
Oh, I have no shame in saying that when I found out that the Macho Man passed away, I was in tears because Macho's the one that got me into wrestling.
Yeah, when I found out about what happened to the Macho Man, I stood in my house for 2 days in the morning to talk. But that match with the Ultimate, that was the match when he lost and Sherry kicked him.
Yes.
And then Elizabeth, she was in the crowd. He bought a ticket, and then she came in and helped the Macho Man.
But I have to say, my favorite Macho Man match that showed him as a conquering hero was WrestleMania 8 when he wrestled Ric Flair.
Oh, my favorite.
That was such an amazing performance.
And the irony, what we're talking about, Macho Man pulled the fight for him.
Yes, he did. But he did it in a way to where nobody cared because all he wanted to do was take a piece out of Ric Flair to let him know, I'm going to chop the rest of you down.
That's one of the greatest promos that a champion has ever cut.
Oh, I loved it. Macho Man and Flair, to me, should have... How the hell that match didn't close WrestleMania 8? How that match didn't close Mania 8 is beyond me. Because it made Sid versus Hogan look like a joke.
Yeah, I know. But you know what? When the visioning was coming from, you had to make Hogan close the show. And then there's another moment that really took over the crowd is when Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth got married in the ring.
Which Macho Man hated.
So what happened in 1991, I was there at Madison Square Garden.
And they got the...
There was people in the audience crying, right? Sorry? Well, I said there was people in the audience crying when they got married, right? That was amazing. Yeah, I was hysterical. My mother was hysterical. She was there. See, he's a perfect guy. He's evil guy. He talked down to Miss Elizabeth, treated her like shit, but snap of a finger, now they dropped confetti from the ceiling. It was wild. The room, it was crazy. It's like a big wedding in Madison Square Garden.
Well, Macho without a doubt, Macho Man to put a lid on him, Macho without a doubt was the total package, and he is a Hall of Famer regardless of whether they induct him or not. Macho was...
Six-time heavyweight champion.
Macho was great. No doubt about it. No one could ever say otherwise. And
right. Now let's talk about Jimmy's favorite character, The Undertaker. He's the ultimate guy of Shades of Grey. You know what? I don't know if I can talk about this because I never liked him. Let's just... He comes in as the personification of evil. He starts in as the personification of evil. He's this monster that feels no pain, and he's looking to... what is his catchphrase? Rest in peace. He's looking to kill the hero, end the hero, and slowly, throughout the years, people start warming up to him. Now, why is this?
I'll explain why. Let me explain why. Because it was...
Why would people cheer an evil character?
There was a lot of things that led to The Undertaker becoming a hero. Because if you look back, he started out with Brother Love. He started out being managed by a villain manager who nobody liked, and he instantly got heat from that. Because he would also win these squash matches against these much smaller opponents that looked petrified of him, and he beat them easily. Then they put him with Paul Bearer because they wanted to kind of protect his mystique a bit and have somebody else talk for him, which I felt was a great move. Because the few times the Taker would talk, it meant something. So he had Paul Bearer with him.
He was a scary character.
He was a scary character, but the thing was, certain people, like myself, were never afraid of him. We just enjoy his character. I was never afraid of him. So
what was the moment when the whole audience, when he started to cheer for him?
The Undertaker first started to get cheered after he defeated Hulk Hogan at Survivor Series 1991. It was about 60-40 as far as the fans were going, that they were cheering for him when it was over. Because I think what was going on was that was starting to be the end of the era of Hulkamania, because they've seen the shirt get torn off, they've seen the leg drop so many times, they eventually grew tired of it. And The Undertaker benefited from that because he became a hero by beating the guy that was in charge of the WWE for so many years, and then 3 months later, he saves Miss Elizabeth from getting hit with a chair by his mentor, Jake Roberts, kicks his ass at WrestleMania 8. The rest is history. Taker got cheered from that point forward all the way up until when he joined forces with Paul Bearer again back in 1998. But even as a villain, he was still cheered. Other than the nights that he was going up against Steve Austin, because let's face it, Steve Austin was the greatest babyface that ever lived. Anyone that went up against him was going to get booed. But there was still a mixed reaction because you had your Undertaker fans, like at the Highway to Hell match with Steve Austin. The Undertaker and Steve Austin were equals because the crowd loved them both and they respected them both. And Taker's passed the torch God knows how many times to people. I believe that night in Madison Square Garden when Steve Austin beat him and then Taker handed him the title, Taker passed the torch to Steve Austin to say, hey, you're the guy. And as the years went by, you know, he became the Ministry of Darkness leader, where that was pushing a lot of boundaries, which didn't bother me. It was the Undertaker. I didn't give a damn. He was as evil as you could be, and I think one of the reasons that he was still popular was because it's like he said in the It's My Yard DVD. People eventually got tired of the lollipop licking, say your prayers, eat your vitamins. They want to come from the dark side, and the Undertaker is born from the dark side, and his character was so mysterious that it was very easy to get caught in all of it. Then he becomes the American badass and the big evil character, where he's just being himself and everyone liked it, but they still missed that original dead man with the purple gloves, the boot covers, the tie. And when he came back in that character in 2004 at WrestleMania, it was a huge deal because that was a big friggin' deal because he was coming back to what the fans wanted from him. Now, they weren't going to boo him as the biker because they respect him. The Undertaker's one of the few guys that has the complete respect of the fans and the complete respect of his peers. I would only say two other guys have that kind of respect. Harley Race and Andre the Giant. Taker's in that elite class. God bless him. Because they told him in WCW he would amount to nothing. So I laugh at those idiots.
Yeah, well, and then of course his WrestleMania matches immortalized him because the stories that he told in those matches.
The match he had with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25 to me is the greatest match of all time. No other match was better. Not Flair and Steamboat, not Flair and Dusty, not Owen and Brett. Taker, Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 25. You're not going to find a better match. I challenge everyone on the page that'll actually take the time to watch this video, find a better match than Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker WrestleMania 25. You're not going to.
They told the stories from the beginning to the end. I agree with that.
I honestly think that The Undertaker's career should have ended there. The greatest match of his life, go home.
There's no sting.
No.
We could talk about that for
but The Undertaker's had a career that most people could only dream of because he, like I said, he gained the respect of his peers, he gained the respect of the fans, and, you know, to watch him get beat, the fans felt sorry for him, and you never thought you'd ever see the fans feel sorry for The Undertaker. I never thought I'd see that day where the fans actually felt pity for him because he's such an unstoppable force. That was hard to watch. To see him, and that wasn't even an act when his eyes were rolling in the back of his head and he couldn't get up. That was an old man that had had enough.
And then you still want to see him wrestle?
Excuse me?
And you still want to see him wrestle?
Because I don't think his career should end in a whimper. That's my opinion. I think even if it takes a year or two for him to come back, have one match where it's a bang and then go away, regardless of what happens, because his career should not end in the manner that match ended. That match was terrible, number one. He looked horrible, number two. And number three, the fans felt sorry for him. His career should not end with the crowd feeling sorry for him. He's the Undertaker, for Christ's sakes.
It's probably going to get finished with him and Sting.
I would love that. Even if nobody wins the match, I would love it if it was a draw. So that way both Sting and Taker...
They can't have anybody win the match. They can't have anybody win the match.
Well, listen, The Undertaker to me should not end... His career should not end in a whimper. It should end in a blaze of glory. Now that we have discussed that, I would like to get into our fantasy booking of The Undertaker versus Sting. Because it's a hot topic, and a lot of people want to see the match. We'll go in succession. Frank, how would you have them meet, and who would win at WrestleMania? How would you have them first meet up, and how would the match come about in your booking?
I think you would have to keep Sting as a surprise. His first appearance would have to be him interrupting The Undertaker.
Okay.
And that would really be just like a surreal moment.
I think that would be a moment that would be like when Hogan and Rock were in the ring at the same time.
Right. And I guess if they could pull the match off, you got to realize these are two 50-plus-year-old guys.
But these guys are like also two old magicians that have tricks up their sleeve over 20 years worth of experience, and I think they could pull it off.
It would have to be a slow match, and it'd have to be a short match. Probably no more than
Now,
15
would
minutes.
any of us have a problem with that? As long as we get the moment, would we really care? Not, I wouldn't. As long as the match and the moments happen, I don't care. So, who would go over in the match, and how would it come across when it's finished? Do they shake hands? Do they still fight?
Of course.
How would you have it go, Frank?
I think as long as we get to see Sting give him a Stinger Splash and a Scorpion Deathlock, and the Undertaker gives Sting, the Tombstone and
the signature maneuvers. The signature maneuvers.
Yeah, I think we see that, and at the end, they would definitely shake hands, and they would go, and they'd be both immortalized.
I would love to see them both walk out of WrestleMania together. That would be great, side by side. I think I would actually ball up into tears because The Undertaker and Sting are my two favorites of all time. Now, Mike, we're up to you.
Yeah.
How would you have this angle start, and how would the match go, and how would you have them leave WrestleMania? You're in charge.
Well, first you have to, I think you should play into the fans waiting around the stage to show up, right? And now you start doing something yet. Start ones that you can think it could be either one of them, like normal, like the ones they've done in the past, right? And then you bring up a thing where one of them are going to come back out, right? And then, Undertaker, it's obviously Undertaker, he comes to the claim he's retiring. And he's done. He wants to say goodbye to the fans. And I just say goodbye to the fans, the lights go out, and then you go up to the rafters and Sting in there with the bat and say, he's pointing at the bat, he points up to the WrestleMania screen. And you have Undertaker kind of avoiding it pretty well. But Sting kind of playing kind of like coaxing Undertaker to come back, like you can't retire, you can't go out like that, you can't go out and lose the streak like that, you gotta go back to WrestleMania. This is a match these people wait for, the fans, your fans, my fans, waiting for this match for 20 years. So we give it some time, just one more match, just one more time. You know what I mean? I'm here now, and I want the best Icon versus the Phenom, and you go from there. It's money. There's no way to get around this. You can't book it any better.
And how would Sting and The Undertaker, with that booking, how would they leave WrestleMania? Would you have them do what Frank did and have them shake hands and then just go their separate ways?
Somehow they have to beat them other than piss out of each other.
Excuse me?
And, they have to beat the piss out of each other. And I would not book you a winner at all. I would have it where it's almost like maybe a last man standing scenario or something like that.
Okay.
They both of them just can't answer the phone.
I see what you're saying. And now we get
they both hope, and then what you do is that at that WrestleMania, at that particular point, they can't answer the bell. They both get it back up. They both in the ring together, and so it's not like weird or awkward for them to walk out together. And then you make the majority of the locker room come out to greet them at the same time.
That's interesting to say the very least.
And then it's almost like these two guys are going to go out,
Well, now we get to me, and this is how I would do it. If I had the pencil in my hand and I was the one booking it, I would have them. Kane still works for the Authority. I would have him turn around one Monday night and look at his phone, and then look up at Stephanie and Triple H and say, "I just received word that my brother will be at Raw next week." And you promote the shit out of it that The Undertaker is going to be coming back to Raw to make a statement, and the rumor is that he's going to retire. The Undertaker comes out at the very end of Raw. You save it for the end of Raw. You build towards it. The Undertaker comes out. He looks a little different. He's still dressed as the Dead Man, but he looks a little different. And he basically comes out and he says, "For the first time ever, I tasted defeat at WrestleMania, and the defeat is more than I can bear. I believe it is now time for me to recede." He, in no other sense of words, he says, "I'm finished. I'm done. That was all I had left. The streak is dead, and so is The Undertaker." He goes to leave. The lights go out. The music plays. The people know immediately who it is. Sting shows up on he shows up on the stage, points up at the WrestleMania sign, and Raw goes off the air. Now, you don't see The Undertaker yet until the Monday after Elimination Chamber. Well, Sting is repeatedly saying, I want The Undertaker at WrestleMania. Undertaker's promoted to be there to answer Sting's call. Taker tells him, my career's over. I have nothing left in me. And then Sting can turn around and say, you disappointed the fans by not winning last year at WrestleMania. Do you really want to disappoint them again by not giving them the match that they've been wanting to see for the last 15 years? And that's the sticking point with The Undertaker, where he could say, I gave it everything I had and it wasn't enough. What do you want me to do? And Sting can turn around and say, give them the match. And then Taker could turn around and say, I'll tell you what. I'll do it on one condition. That when the match is over, regardless of what happens, both of us are finished. Because Taker feels like Sting is encroaching on him personally, so Taker knows that he takes the match, his career's done, he wants to take Sting with him. They have the match. I wouldn't have The Undertaker lose, because he just lost the streak, but I also at the same time don't want to see Sting lose his first match in the WWE, especially at a WrestleMania. It would be...
Let me ask you that. Do you think they should build Sting up a little bit before WrestleMania?
Absolutely. You should have him. I would have him as a GM, honestly. I'd have him as like a balance for the Authority. That's what I would do.
I'm saying, like the younger audience that really hasn't seen him or isn't familiar with him.
Well, they promote him on the network. They promote a video package about Sting, like whether it's a documentary or whatever. You have him come on WWE programming as a balance, like he was hired by WWE as a balance for the Authority because they've been abusing their power. That's how you keep him relevant on television. He works once a week, and that's it.
Like, you have him come out and, like, lay out justice?
Yes.
I don't know how that ties into The Undertaker.
Well, I'm saying, Mike...
Well, you know what? Say, like, you know what? When The Undertaker comes out, you won't be expecting Crow Sting because you're so accustomed to seeing, GM Sting.
No way. Once there's any particular sign of The Undertaker coming back, and Sting's already there doing something, the attention's going to go right to Sting.
But what I'm saying, Mike, is, like, do you build Sting up before they have the match The Undertaker just because, like...
Well, in all honesty, I think Sting is a big enough star to where if he shows up, everyone will know who he is. I mean, come on, he's a legend for crying out loud. It's not like he wasn't...
Everyone knows who Sting is.
Exactly. I agree with Mike that everyone knows who Sting is, and when the match is over, I would have Sting and The Undertaker shake hands, and they would leave WrestleMania together, and they raise their arms up on the stage, and then you never see them again until it's time for the Hall of Fame for them to go in.
I agree.
The Undertaker's career should end on a positive note, not a sour one. Same with Sting. They're my two favorite wrestlers of all time. I don't want to see either one of them lose their last match. But, as Terry Funk said, you go out on your back. They should both go out in a draw. As if to say...
I don't think the fans would like that.
No, I don't think they would either. I think they'd prefer to see The Undertaker beat him. But I don't want to see Sting get beat in his first and only match in the WWE.
Yeah, I guess, but they're going to make The Undertaker go over on him.
Oh, absolutely. They have the match. They have the match. Taker's winning. There's no way he's losing 2 WrestleManias in a row. And that's why I said it didn't matter if he lost to Brock Lesnar or not. Taker was still going to go over because even if he lost to Brock, he ain't losing 2 WrestleMania matches in a row. They keep calling Brock the one. That means he's going to be the only one that beats The Undertaker at WrestleMania. You see what I'm saying? So it really didn't matter if Taker lost the streak or not. To me, he should have kept it. The streak versus the icon. Come on. That's a mark. The streak, you want to talk about money? The streak was money. T-shirts, merchandise, things of that nature. They threw it all away, and now they only have themselves to blame. But if they have Sting...
If I'm Sting, I'm not coming to WWE to lose. I'm not tarnished. I don't care who I'm wrestling. I don't care what kind of legacy the other guy has.
I think Sting wants...
Sting should not do the job for anybody.
That's how I feel about The Undertaker, so where does that leave us?
There we go. If you have that mentality, that match is never going to take place.
No, it's a draw. Why not? Listen to me. There used to be draws back in the day. There used to be countouts. There used to be disqualification. They don't happen anymore.
I don't think you could have that in a WrestleMania.
No, you don't have a match of that magnitude end in a countout or a DQ.
I don't think you could have a countout. You
Not a match of that magnitude. Dream matches should not end in a disappointment. But anyways, guys,
I don't think it would be disappointed seeing them both go out once.
no, I don't. I agree with you. But guys, we're gonna cut it off for here. We hope everyone enjoys SummerSlam. Some of you guys will be at my place. Some of you won't. Hope you enjoy the show. And Frank and I and Mike, hopefully, will be back with our next video, getting ready for the pay-per-view following SummerSlam, which will be Night of Champions. You guys have a good night, and you all take care. See you at SummerSlam.